Greetings, you rock lobsters. I hope you're doing well. My name is Graham, and welcome to the Crack-A-Pack here on LRRMTG, and I hope you're ready to laugh. Because today we are opening a pack of Unglued, the original unset, 10 bizarre and broken cards, a supplement to Magic the Gathering. I don't know how Rosewater convinced them to do this in, whenever, 1998? But I'm glad they did. This pack, by the way, was given to us by John Levy at PAX Prime 2016. Wow. Thank you, John. I hope you're still watching. All right. Ta-da. Now, I know that typically the most valuable card in an unpack is the land. So we'll get to that eventually. But before then, we have some actual silver bordered cards to look at. First, Double Cross. 3 black for a sorcery. Choose another player. Look at that player's hand and choose one of those cards other than a basic land. That player discards that card. At the beginning of the next game with that player, look at that player's hand and choose one of those cards other than a basic land. They discard that card. Does it have to be one of those? No, it's just, oh, okay. It's not one of the cards you picked before. It's just you make them discard a card now and then at the beginning of the next game. I like that. That seems great, actually. For 5 mana? I mean, you only want to cast this in game 1, or maybe 2 if you think you're going to lose, or if you were losing it. You're going to want to cast this conditionally, depending on whether or not it makes sense to, if you think you're going to have another game. Though I guess it doesn't say in the match. You could just anytime. Can you imagine? Like months later, and you're like, all right. Remember I cast Double Cross? It doesn't even say it has to be a silver bordered game, which I would argue for. I would, if I, play a silver bordered game, cast this card, and then run into them at like a pre-release. I would absolutely be like, Judge. And then they would tell me no, because that's stupid. I love unsets, by the way. I think these are great. Not all the jokes land for me, in my opinion, but there's a lot of really strong stuff in here. Next up, gotta love a good pun. Next up is the Elvish Impersonators. 3 and a green for a star elves, dressed like Elvis. When you play Elvish Impersonators, roll 2 6-sided dice, one after the other. Elvish Impersonators comes into play with power equal to the first dice roll and toughness equal to the second. With the flavor text, oh. So, good pun. Well punned, everybody. Next we have Clam I Am for that Zeus value. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 Clam Folk. Whenever you roll a 3 on a 6-sided die, you may re-roll that die. I like that, actually. That's just kind of... That's definitely a thing that doesn't need to live in the world of an unset, right? It's like, when you roll a 3. Roll it again. You're likely to roll higher than 3, statistically speaking, but you could roll lower. So press your luck. I guess you could roll a 3 again and then just do it another time. The clams down in Clamville all scootered and skittled. The 3 is no more, the clam fiddler fiddled. It's not bad. It's fairly Zeusian. This is a weird reference. Herloon Wrangler, 2 and a red for a 2/2 Minotaur with denim walk. So Wrangler jeans. Wrangler's a brand of jeans. So there was the Herloon Minotaur, which for years was almost like the face of Magic. They just used it a lot in the key art for stuff. And then there was Wrangler jeans. Certainly around this time, like the sort of the mid-late 90s, jeans advertising was like really sexual. Just the print ads and the TV commercials for like Levi's and Wrangler. Lots of people topless. You didn't see anything, obviously, because it was on television, but wearing only jeans, which is the sort of, that's why the weird, like, Ishirian backbreaking pose that this Minotaur is taking on. And then, yeah, Denim Walk is if defending player is wearing any clothing made of denim, this creature is unblockable, which of course led to the story that Mark Rosewater told us when he was here for the unstable pre-release of the apocryphal story that is the unproven story that is probably not true, but is a very funny joke of someone at the Unglued pre-release saying in response to attackers, like when I get priority after you've declared attacker, I take off my pants. This is why they don't print Denim Walk anymore, I'm sure. It's the same with horsemanship. It's just too powerful. Next, we have Double Play. So I assume this is in the same vein as Double Cross. This is 3 green for a sorcery. Choose another player. Search your library for a basic land and put that land into play. At the beginning of the next game with that player, search your library for an additional basic land and put that land into play. In both cases, shuffle your library afterwards. Again, just seems powerful. That just seems like a really good thing to do. I'm not as familiar with this set. I assume then that there's a whole cycle, and they seem great. Love to see it. Oh, good. Next up, we have Sex Appeal. A single white mana for an instant. Prevent up to 3 damage total to any number of creatures and or players. If there are more players in the room of the opposite sex, prevent up to 3 additional damage total to any number of creatures and or players. And I'm just not gonna bother going into the myriad reasons why this card is a bad idea. We're just gonna move on. We're just gonna move on. What were you thinking? Now we have, the ultimate nightmare of Wizards of the Coast customer service. The name goes around the card frame. It casts for X, Y, Z, or Z. We're in Canada. X, Y, Z, red, even though it is a blue border. I wonder what the color identity of this card is. It has to be red, because it casts for red, even though the border is blue, which I also assume is on purpose, because it's the nightmare of customer service. Sorcery. The ultimate nightmare of Wizards of the Coast customer service deals X damage to each of Y target creatures and Z target players. So, if you wanted to deal 2 damage to 3 creatures and a player, then this is 8 mana. Well, it's very flexible, I'll say that. Like, you could just expensive fireball to the face. You could just say 5 damage to 1 player and no creatures, and that's also 8 mana. It's not good. Also, the flavor text is the dates and times of Wizards of the Coast customer service and their phone number. I mean, I don't see how I can not do this.
Thank you for calling Wizards of the Coast customer service. Our support staff can be reached 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. All calls are recorded for quality assurance purposes. If you do not wish to be recorded, you can submit an email online at support.wizards.com.
All right. Well, what I've learned from this is that they've changed their hours, and it used to be 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time, and now it's 9 to 5 Pacific time. So, you know, power creep. I'm glad that phone number still works. I wonder if they've ever considered changing it, and someone has been like, we can't. We printed that card back in 1998. What happens if we let that phone number go? We can't change it. Moving on. Actually, not moving on. That voice, welcome to Wizards of the Coast customer service. Whoever recorded that was having a very fun time. Also, to not be recorded on the phone. Oh, you can just send an okay, sorry. Originally, I've realized now, they're like, if you don't want to be recorded, then send us an email and we can help you that way. In the moment, I thought that they were saying, if you don't want to be recorded, send us an email to tell us you don't want to be recorded, then phone us, which would be silly. But then also they printed their phone number on a magic card, so who's the silly one? Next, we have Flock of Rabid Sheep, X green green. For a sorcery, flip X coins. An opponent calls heads or tails. For each flip you win, put a Rabid Sheep token into play. Treat these tokens as a 2/2 green creature that counts as a sheep. Seems very good, honestly. Oh no. So our rare is on its own not playable, I think. I don't actually know the rulings on it. It's half of the... There's a creature that's in two halves because it's too big for one card. It's the BFM, the Big Friendly Monster. I don't actually know what it's called, but I have the side with the power and toughness, which is 99.99, and part of the type line, which is scariest creature you'll ever see, and the casting cost, which is black, 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 black. And all I can read of the rules box is BFM into play if either BFM card more creatures. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with that. And our land is mountain, which has to be one of the lower value unglued lands, but we're not here for the value. We're here for the comedy. I think I'm picking the Ultimate Nightmare of Wizards of the Coast customer service, just because it's very flexible. It's that or Flock of Rabid Sheep. I mean, both the double cards also seem pretty good. Honestly, within the realm of playing an unglued draft, most of these cards seem all right. I don't think you can take half of that big guy and just hope you get the other half, because I don't think they do anything on their own. I don't even know how. I guess you need them both in your hand. I don't know how it works, or if it ever worked. And even then, works is... There's a lot of air quotes around that. Value-wise, pack actually came together very nicely. The mountain is a little over $5, so that's cool. But even this half, just this half of what I've now been informed is the big furry monster, which makes a lot more sense, is over $14. Just this half. Early meld card. Big furry monster. Well, all right, sweet. Thanks very much, John Levy, for this pack of Unglued 5 years ago? Yeah. See, we'll get to them eventually. Eventually. If you want to send us a pack to get to eventually, you can do that at our P.O. Box, Attention Crack a Pack, and we thank you very much for doing so, just as we thank you for supporting this show and everything we do on our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. That's it. I've been Graham. Thanks to James. Shoutouts to the editors. We'll see you next time. Bye.